Hello, and thank you for joining me today. Well, this is the Friday, May the 2nd edition of our video devotionals. Thank you so much for joining us today. Hope your Friday's going well. It is the end of another work week and school week. Once again, the beginning of a brand new month, and hopefully it's going to be a great month, a very busy month. Mother's Day, and then for us, Revival, and then, of course, after that, you've got Memorial Day and things that the churches do and events that are patriotic and all of that, and then, of course, remembering fallen soldiers. So the month of May is a busy month besides birthdays, anniversaries, and all those things going on. So it is a busy month, and it's a month where it's warming, so there's more outside activities too, and typically a good month because it don't get really incredibly hot yet like it does in June, July, and August. But all that being said, let's have a great May, and we're going to try to give you something here today to help you do that. Well, it is the end of the work week and school week, but it is the weekend and, of course, Sunday. So be busy doing the Lord's work. Be involved in that. We're going to talk a little bit about that today, and I think that's very, very important. All right, 1 Chronicles chapter 22. Notice what it says here. We're going to look at just one verse, and that's verse number 5. 1 Chronicles 22:5. And David said, Solomon, my son, is young and tender, and the house that is to be builded for the Lord must be exceeding magnifical. I like that little phrase there, exceeding magnifical, of fame and of glory throughout all countries. I will therefore now make preparation for it. So David prepared abundantly before his death. David's starting to get toward the end of his life. David wanted to build the house of God. The Lord would not allow him to do that. He says, your son Solomon will build the house of the Lord. And that's exactly what would happen. But here's what David said. David said, but I can prepare for it. I may not be in the building phase, but I can provide materials for it. And he did. If you go and read further down that chapter, it's amazing that the gold and the silver, particularly, that David supplied for the future house of God. So here's the practical side of this. Here we are. So if you're living your life now and you're able to accomplish some things and do some things, particularly when we think about the house of the Lord, the church, okay? If you're able to do things at the house of God, participate one way or another, or if you're just there and in a sense, you're supporting it with your tithes and your offerings, your faithfulness, all of that, that's important. And then, of course, whatever ministries your church has, if the church has a ministry, get involved in that one way or another. If it has things like a choir, a special singing, Sunday schools, bus ministries, whatever it might be. Through the years, we've been super busy with ministries, and, it's always a good thing to do that because you don't regret giving your life to others and doing it for the Lord. But you know what? Somebody's got to do that in the future. And the point is, what are we doing for a future generation to prepare for that? And of course, one of the greatest things is to pray and be supportive. When people just kind of sit in church and they're just there, it seems like they offer nothing. And I know being there is an important thing, but I'm talking about supporting it in the prayers and supporting it in encouragement and all of that sort of thing. So here's the thing. I know the Lord's going to return one day, and I get that. I was told that when I was a boy, and it almost sounded like, well, I'll never even get to adulthood. But here I am. I'm 60 years old, and the Lord may not come back for another 100 years or more. We don't know that. And every generation has said, he's coming back in our day. Look at the signs. Well, there's been signs since Apostle Paul's day. We don't know that for certain, but I know this. We've got to be prepared for the next generation to be able to take the churches and to be able to build their families God's way. So if you're steady and faithful and supporting and all of that, then that's helping prepare a foundation for the next generation. But when we're kind of not very faithful, not very involved, we just kind of seem like we're not enthused at all. Let me tell you something. That's not good for the future generation. Now, if we're talking about a work that's not of God and it's the elements there are not of God, that's one thing. But look, if you belong to a Bible preaching, Bible believing, Bible practicing church, and your church is doing everything it can to do what's right and do what God wants them to do, then you be there for that. And if you don't get to see any future growth or any future building or any future actions, because one of these days we're going to be gone. But somebody's got to do that. And that's why we need to be prepared for it. David was preparing for the great house of God. And you and I need to be doing that ourselves, being involved as much as we can, supportive of whatever work is going on right now. And realize when you see people younger than you are and think, you know what, when I'm off the scene, are these people, because of my actions, my attitude, there's a big one, my attitude, my involvement, my enthusiasm for things, my support, is that helping prepare for what they're going to be able to do for the house of God and for the work of God? I hope so. So let's think that way and pray that way and work that way now while we can, because one day if we're not able to do that in the future, then guess what? Somebody can and somebody will, and may we be a part of that. We have that connection there, okay? All right, so we're going to stop right there. Have a great day, safe day, healthy day. Lord willing, we'll see you back on Monday. We'll continue to look at the word gospel, where we only have maybe one or two more, and we'll be finished with that theme. But otherwise, I hope you can be busy and, of course, be safe and healthy and all of that. And thank you for watching.